First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Yahweh is the name of who this world so ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai is the name of who this world so ignorantly calls Jesus. Also want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of great Mosul that taught me this truth. So today I want to talk about how the elect are ultimately going to be in the house of mourning, and that a lot of the times the Lord will do things in your life to keep you in that state, right? A lot of the affliction or the chastening we go through is to keep you in that state. And that's something I'm learning in my walk too, is that the Lord knows you and He knows what you can handle and what you can't. And that ultimately you might want some things in the flesh, but He might not give them you. He might not give you what you desire because He knows that if He gives you that pleasure, if He gives you whatever you're looking for, it's gonna throw off your spirit and you're not gonna be in the right mindset, right? And not to get into details, but that's pretty much what I'm going through right now. The Lord, He's chastening me and He's trying to teach me a lesson, right? Because every man is different. Some man might be able to handle certain things in the world, but other men can't, right? He might give you whatever you might seek. He knows ultimately that you can't handle it, right? You're not going to be in the right mindset to preach and to ultimately be in that house of mourning, right? Just absolutely hating this place. Because that's what it's going to take out here. That's what it's going to take to keep going, right? If the Lord gave you what you wanted, and you would be in a state of complacency, you wouldn't be in a state of, hey, things are going all right, right? Because that desire that you have, right, that pleasure would be filled. And but when He takes that away, right, He takes away whatever you seek. He takes away, whatever it is that you want, and He doesn't give it to you. You don't have it at this current moment. You're gonna, in the spirit, you're gonna feel vexed, right? You're gonna feel like, damn, like fuck this place, like what the fuck, because it's very vexing to just realize like this world is so backwards, and it's vexing that everything's out of order, so you can't even live how you want to live, if that makes any sense. Because when the kingdom of heaven is established, we're gonna have all our wants, all our needs, all our pleasures in righteousness. And just to think the fact that right now we can't have those things, right? It vexes us. That right now we're under the curses and we're ultimately going to go through hell. It vexes us on a day-to-day basis. Okay? But the point I wanted to bring out is that the elect are going to be in the house of mourning. And the Lord ultimately, he works His hands. And if you're truly part of the elect, He's going to keep you like that. Okay? And let's just get to the scriptures now. And this was just going on a righteous rant. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, and I'll start at verse 4. It says, or I'll start at verse 3. It says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. Right? Because if you're constantly, if you're constantly in the house of mirth, right? If you're constantly just enjoying life, you see everything is perfect, right? Nothing's going out of order, and everything's going how you want, right? You think life is perfect, then your spirit, right, how it says right here, the heart is going to be content, right? You're not going to be wanting better things. You're not going to be wanting to upgrade spiritually because you feel like you have it all, right? You feel like, this place isn't so bad. But when you're in that spirit of sorrow, right, when you're in that spirit of sadness, of being afflicted, right, your spirit ultimately grows, right? How it says, for by the sadness of the countenance, the heart is made better, right? Because you realize, like, man, this place ain't it, right? You go through those sufferings, and ultimately it builds you back up. Because in order to grow, you have to make mistakes. That's a key ingredient, right? If you never make mistakes, if you're just always perfect, there's no room for growth because you've never messed up. That's why the Lord chastens us when He puts you through certain scenarios, when he puts you in certain predicaments, he takes away things from your life, it's ultimately to better your countenance, right? Better your heart, your spirit, get you in the right mindset, because he knows exactly how he's molding us right now to be like Yahushai, right? He's molding us and taking away that Babylonian mindset, taking away the way of thinking of this world, and just completely transforming his men to be, to ultimately endure in these days that are to come. But let's get the next verse. It says, "The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth." And yeah, that goes also straight into the 2/3 and the mindset of these people, how they're just living it up, right? They don't care at all what's going on. They just live after their flesh, and when you're in that house of mirth all the time, you're ultimately not going to care, right? You're ultimately, how it says right here, you're going to be a fool. Because let's look into what that word mirth means. It means amusement, especially as expressed in laughter. Let's get the etymology. Joy, pleasure, eternal bliss, salvation, right? Because, hey, when you're in pleasure, you're not thinking about the Lord, right? When you're constantly indulging yourself in pleasure, hey, your mind is not gonna be right. I mean, like, let's see what it says here. But you guys understand the point, right? When you're mourning, right? Let's get that word too, to just mourning etymology. Get some better understanding. It says feeling of expression of sorrow, sadness, grief, right? And that's what the wise are gonna feel, because that's what this place pushes on us, right? We're constantly vexed seeing the wickedness here. We're constantly vexed seeing that everything's out of order, right? You can't even enjoy your life. This is not even called living, right? So when you're in that mindset, hey, you're gonna want to get the fuck out of here, right? Just as simple as that. You're gonna want to get out of here. You're gonna want to do the Lord's will, and you're not gonna be stuck to this place. You're ultimately gonna be detached, and that's what the elect are going to do. That's what the elect are being programmed to think, right? To ultimately detach from this place, because there's gonna reach a point in time where, hey, you're gonna be given two options: stay with this world or move, right? Trust in the image of Baal, bow down to the image of Baal, or bow down to Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, right? Jacob's trouble. But I feel like I'm going on a rant now, but let's just keep hitting the scriptures. This is Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 11. It says, "Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous," right? Whenever you're going through your afflictions, it doesn't seem to be good, right? It doesn't feel good. It says, "but grievous," right? "Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby," right? Because ultimately, when the Lord chastises you, is to remove those imperfections, those impurities that you have, right? To ultimately fix you up, because that's the only way to grow, right? Is to get beat down, right? Because when you get beat down, you get truly beat down, you get put down on a low level. When you stand back up, you grow back better, right? You grow stronger. It's the same thing when it comes to working out, right? You break down the muscle, and when it builds back bigger and stronger, because the demands that were put on it, right? Now it knows how to deal with now that muscle knows how to deal with the stimulus has been thrown. Now it has experience to just, you know what I mean. But hey, Spirit's on me today to just explain and rant and just bring this out, how we have to be in the right mindset, right? That's the most important part. We have to be in the right mindset and ultimately feed into the Spirit. Because I noticed real quickly how if you feed into your flesh quickly, hey, you're not dialed in. You're not in the right type of mindset that you need in these days, right? Shit can hit the fan any moment, and if you're caught lacking, if you're caught in the wrong type of mindset, right, feeding into your flesh, you're gonna be in some deep shit. But let me get this in Peter. This is 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 7, and it says, and I'll start at verse 6. It says, "And turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly, and delivered just Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked." Right? And that's how we're in this day today. Right? We're just like Lot, constantly vexed with the conversation, right? The way of this world, because it's completely opposite to the law, statutes, and commandments. Right? I was watching a brother or someone on YouTube, and they heard this woman say that, hey, they feel liberated, and he said, you have to break that down though. What does she feel liberated from? And he said, ultimately, that what they're saying is they're being liberated from the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, right? The law. That's what they're being liberated from, right? When these women want to act like whores and just sleep with a ton of men, to them that's liberation. But from what? From the law. And that's ultimately that's wickedness, right? That's complete wickedness. But let's keep going and just hit the points now. This is 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 12. It says, "Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you." Right? Because another scripture goes into how there's people, right? There's other men that are going through the same afflictions we're going through right now, right? And if you read Ecclesiasticus' second chapter, it talks about how if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? So don't think it's strange when you start catching hell. Don't think it's strange when the Lord looks on you and realize, hold up, hey, he needs to get straightened out, and he starts throwing things at you that don't feel good, right? Don't get surprised when things don't go your way. Don't get surprised when you go through that fire, how it talks about in Zechariah 13 and 9. Okay? But it says, "But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Yahushai's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy." Right? Because when he comes back, hey, things are going to get set in order, and everything we've desired in this current flesh right now, everything, all of our heart's desires are going to be fulfilled in righteousness. And scriptures go into how what we look for. Let me get that. Let me just get it. Eternal look. 2 Corinthians 4 and 18, it says, is there 2 Corinthians? I'll start at 16. This is all fire. It says, 2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 16, it says, "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." Right? Because, hey, if you're in the house of mirth, how we just read right here, that outward man is never going to perish. Right? He's going to be fulfilled. That outward man is going to want everything he wants, which that outward man is referring to the flesh. But it says, "For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." And that's talking about the spirit, right? That spirit being corrected, that spirit growing, right? Being in the right type of mindset, that's the spirit. So that's why it says that it is better to go to the house, or verse 4. That's why it says that the house of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the house of fools is in the house of mirth. Okay? It says, "For a light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Right? This is just but a light affliction compared to what we're going to receive. In the next verse it says, "While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." And that's talking about the kingdom of heaven and everything that's going to be entailed with that. Right? All the blessings that are in Deuteronomy chapter 28. If I got that correct. Let me just, yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 28, the blessings. right? We look at the things to come, right? Not the things right here, not the things of this world. But back to the point, let me get this in Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 34, and actually I'll get 18. It says, Psalms chapter 34 and verse 18, the Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. Yeah, he doesn't want us to be in the house of mirth, right? Got to be in that house of mourning. And that's what that's going into. The elect are going to have a broken heart, a contrite spirit. How we read in, how I just read it, how we read in 2 Peter 2 and 7. Hey, vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked, right? In that grievous type of spirit, right? Hey, in sorrow, sadness, right? All these things, that's what the Lord requires of us. Right? He said he doesn't want no sacrifices anymore. He doesn't want no burnt offerings. He said that he wants us. Let me get it. Instead of just summing it up, it says Romans 12 and 1. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. Right? He said that he wants our bodies to be a living sacrifice. Okay? But back to the point is that the Lord is with the men that have a broken spirit, broken heart, and a contrite spirit, right? In that house of mourning. Back to the main point. But the 19th verse says, many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord Yahweh delivereth him out of them all, right? Because he's ultimately looking over us, and he's ultimately the one that puts us in those afflictions, and it's ultimately to correct us. Okay, and one example I like to go into is how the Lord is like a, what's the word? He's like a ironsmith, if that's the correct word, right? He's like a smith. How? Because I refer to that is because when let me see, let me just make sure that's the right word. Ironsmith. A blacksmith. Yeah, the Lord is like a blacksmith. The reason I say that is because when a blacksmith, let's say he's dealing with that gold, right? And he puts the gold in the furnace, right? He lets it in there, he lets it do his thing, purifies, then he pulls it back out. And you realize it's still dirty. Then he puts it back in the fire, right? Let it do his thing, pulls it back out. He sees it's dirty, puts it back in, pulls it back out. And he keeps doing that till he doesn't see any imperfections, any impurities in that gold. Right? He keeps doing that till that gold is pure. So it's the same thing with the Lord. Right? He's going to keep putting us in that fire till he sees that, hey, we're pure. Till we're in the right type of mindset. Till we're like Yahweh Shai. He's going to keep putting us in that fire. And one thing about knowing when the gold is done, knowing the gold is 100% pure, is that when you look at the gold, the blacksmith can see his own reflection, right? He can see his own reflection in the gold when it's completely pure. And that's what the Lord is doing, right? He's looking at us and he's trying to see his reflection in us. Until that doesn't happen, he's going to keep putting us in the fire and keep refining us to be like that. So keep that in mind whenever you go through any situations. Keep that in mind whenever you're chastised by the Lord, whenever you have afflictions, whenever you're in a down spirit, right? Ultimately, it's all to better you. But, hey, it was just in my spirit today I wasn't ultimately on topic as I was trying to be, but hey, the spirit came on me to just rant a little bit and just bring out the word a little bit. Just, hey, spirit was on me today. It's just that simple. But I'll end it on that. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. And I want to give double honors to the outer bishops and apostles of Great Millstone. Hopefully this reaches someone and someone can extrapolate and get some edifying information, right? Some knowledge, some wisdom about how to get by and how to view this world. Okay? Well, with that, I want to say shalom to the elect. Shalom.